This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, so welcome again. So today is our today 7th August, right? Let's update this our status sheet everyone every day, and this is around the ninth session. Yeah. So we'll talk about perform integrated change control today. Okay. So when we say perform integrated change control, we have been discussing this a lot, and this is one of the most important discussion we'll have in this uh, in our on our whole series. Now, why do I say that? Actually, it is not one process as such. Now, this is something. Now we understand that change is the only constant, right? We understand that. So change can come from many things. Okay. So now, how to handle change? We have been discussing it. So let's do it in a formal way now. Okay, and it's more than the process. It's not only one process. It's the whole. Uh, um, that means it's not only the one process out of the 49 processes. The change management is a whole kind of it's a process flow. Okay, it's a flow of steps. Okay, that we have to understand. Yeah. So in this exam, we will find lots and lots of questions from integrated change control. Now, what is it? So let us quickly understand few points about it. So let me open again a blank notepad. So what is change? So let me just open, make a font a little bigger so that it's easily uh, visible to you. Let me put it. Okay. So now what is change? Change is the only constant. Change is the only constant. Means what? Change will happen as you progress in the project. Now, when does change management start? Now, do you apply change management before doing the project management plan, before doing the baselining, or do you do it after the baselining? So, what is change? What do you mean by change? Before baselining, scope, schedule, cost in PMP, or is it after baselining?
After.
It's after, correct? So, change to the baseline is what we are actually looking at now. Okay. Now, what is a change management process? Where do we decide this change management process? At the project level, and which plan could have it when we see at the project level? PMP, right? So when we decided some things at the project level, let me take you to the process map, which we will always keep on referring our project process map, okay, or the process table, right? So here, as I said, this is in planning, and in your PMP is where we always keep on checking. We always keep on. We first we do it at some decisions at the project level. So we took decisions like what is the project life cycle, what is the development methodology, agile or waterfall, these things, right? So we also took a decision what is the change management process. Okay. So where did we decide this change management process? PMP. Any question which will is asking that what is the change management process and people are confused. Okay, what is the plan to go for? So this is the plan we can refer. You'll understand what is the change management process for this project. Okay. Now what actually happens is let's take two examples. Okay. One is that which we are already discussing again and again. So let's do it once more. Um, so if you have a customer, okay, and then you have baseline the project now. Okay. So you have already baseline the project, and then now this is what the scope is. Okay, we have discussed this again, the same situation, but let's today formally do it and understand it once more. So this is the scope of the project where the clear boundary and the baseline is set. So 500 features and 5 months and say $50 million, right? So this is what you have done. So this is your scope, schedule, cost baselines, right? Now the customer adds only one feature. Would you go for change management process? Maybe no, right? Because what happens is when we set this baselining and when we set the change management process, we also said what do you mean by a small change and what do you mean by big change. Okay. So whenever there is a change, okay, first of all we need to identify, okay, whether it's a small or big, correct? So if it is one, what do you mean by small or what do you mean by big? Okay. So big is generally that big baseline change. For example, if it's having 100 features, obviously I'll take it to a change management process, because the thing we are saying is as far as it is not impacting my baselines. For example, one feature addition will not impact my baselines. Okay, so and we can say the small things are basically let's say for example 5 to 10%. Okay, from 1 to 10%. So plus or minus 10%, we take it as small change. So now who will decide this? Who is deciding this? Who is deciding this plus or minus 10%? Again, your stakeholders are deciding this. Your sponsor is deciding this, right? So up to say 550 features, we are still okay. Now the customer has 100 features. What is happening now? Now this is not a small change, and the project manager cannot take it by himself. So he has to go. So it's a big one. Okay. Now if it's a big one, how do you take it? Okay, that's the change management process we'll talk about. Now remember, this change management process has to be understood and taken in a religious fashion. Okay. So example, we exactly will have these steps in the change whenever we talk about change management process. What are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps? Okay, so these steps will be exactly followed. Okay, so now what is the first step? First step is identify the change has happened. What is the first step? Identify the change has happened. Now when we talk about this 100 features, are we clear that the customer and you as a seller, you both are you both have understood that it they both have agreed that it's a change, it's not a issue fixing, it's a enhancement, it's a out of something which is out of scope. Now the customer is adding to that scope, and because of the addition will be done through a change management process. Is it clear? So it's clear. Okay, so that's the first question you will ask. So is the change, okay, identified clearly? Now this is one of the example. Okay, I'll give you one more example. Now this 500 features we have decided on, we have decided to be done in 5 months, correct? 500 features in 5 months. So there's also one more thing which is actually a little, which is actually invoking this change management is okay. For example, you are almost on the fourth month, okay, and you have only done completed 300 features. Okay, now you understand that when you do the schedule cost forecasting, you understand neither you will not be able to finish the project in 50 million, or neither you'll be able to do in 5 months. So your schedule performance, schedule variance and cost variance are huge. Okay, or the schedule performance index and the cost performance index are huge. Okay, that means there are a lot of variance in that negative. It's negative. It's going negative, and you'll not be able to make it. So you will need to do again a forecast. Now, what is it forecast? Forecast is again a change management process, right? Because you have deviated from the plan. So what has happened now? Now control, schedule, control cost, plan versus actual. So now you understand. Now you understand what? That you will not be able. The variance is more. Okay, so when the variance is more, what we will do? When the variance is more, now we will go for a change request. So now change request, first of all, is the change identified and clear? Yes. Okay, that means you understand that baseline is not be achievable now, right? So you need to revise the baseline. So you have initiated a change request, right? That's a step number one. So here the step number one, customer has added something, it's a change to the baseline. Here you have raised a change request, okay, because you want to course correct, okay, or you want to come back on track. So that is called. So whenever there is a change to baseline, so you want to change the baseline. So what are you saying now? I will need maybe 10 months, okay, to complete the project, and I need maybe 100 million, something like this, which is a little major change, okay, and which is beyond the 10%. So that's why you have to go through a change management process. You cannot yourself do it. Yeah. So first step is what? Identify there's a clear change. Okay, so clear change is there. Okay, now when we are clearly identifying this is a change, then what's the next what's the next step? The next step is how do you take this change? Okay, now here again let's go back here. So are you able to understand the two scenarios now? Are you able to understand the two scenarios? So both are, you can take another scenario also, third scenario also. Okay, if you're not getting confused, but this is how all the things will be going on. Okay, so maybe you had a schedule of 12 months, okay, and your sponsor and customer said now you have to finish in 9 months. This is also what? Change to the baseline. So again, what is this? First step. Is the change very clear? Yes, the change request has to be submitted. That's the first step in any process, in any change management. Whenever the baseline gets changed, the first step what you'll do is you will identify as a clear change request. Okay, there's no confusion. The clear change request. So this 3 months change is the advancement of the end date is a clear change request. So you have to clearly document it somewhere. No verbal, right? Nothing to be done verbal. Okay. Now what are these steps? So if you see this PPT, it's clearly mentioned in my PPT. Okay, what is that we are talking about? So let me take you here. Okay, so yeah, so let me just take you to that point, that slide where I have yeah. Okay, so okay, let's understand it on the notepad, and this also, this only. Yeah, so it's clearly visible here. Yeah, so what are the three changes we are understanding? Scope change is also a change. You missing your deadline and you want to revise the baseline is also a change request. Customer again revising the schedule baseline is also a change request. Change request can come from so many places. Okay, almost like many of the processes in your executing, monitoring, controlling, they will give you an output of change request. Now whenever there's a major impact to the baseline, you'll go to the so you'll go through this process. Now here what we call it, now what is the situation here in this second situation, you have gone off track. That means you are deviating from the plan. So you had to finish say uh, this 300 features maybe in around 2-3 months. Okay, but till the fourth month, okay, you have been not been able to achieve much. So you are delayed here. You are delayed here. Okay, so delayed means you are again now you want to course correct. You want to correct yourself. Okay, you want to correct yourself to come back on track. So how do you now correct? Yeah, how do you do it? That's called corrective action. Means what? Now you know that you will not be able to achieve this complete this scope in the 50 million five months, right? 50 million 5 months. So you obviously have to have a revised target. So as we discussed, whenever there is a deviation in plan, only two options. Okay, either you revise your performance or revise your plan. Correct. So that's the so where you have to revise the plan here. Correct. So this is the corrective action. So again here, what is the corrective action? What is the action you'll take? First of all, identify the change. That's done in all the three steps. Here also identify change is done. Second step is now how do you take this change? Okay, you have to now discuss with the team. How do you prepone the end date? Okay, so what are the options you'll have? So discuss with the team internally and externally. Discuss with the team internally and externally. Yeah. So maybe internal team will tell you something. Okay, maybe externally will talk with stakeholders how to take this change. Yeah.
Tanvir,
So
talking of two changes right here. One is stakeholder requested change.
adding scope. Yeah.
Adding scope, and PM are requesting for a change.
Yes, this is customer adding scope. Correct.
Okay.
Customer adding scope. This is first situation. Why I have taken three situations is because change request is actually for all the situations. So this is only three we have taken. Okay, well, so one is customer is going to add new features, and which is a major change in the baseline beyond this plus or minus 10%. Okay, first change, do you understand? Customer is trying to add 100 more features. First situation. Second situation is you have gone off track. After 30-40%, you understand that you have not progressed well. In 4 months, you have done only 300 features. Okay, you were supposed to do maybe around 400 features in 4 months. Correct? So here you are supposed to do 500 features in 5 months. So 4 months, at the end of 4 months, when you see you are actually delayed. Okay, that means you are, as we discussed yesterday, the schedule variance, cost variance is negative, or the performance index is less than 1. Okay, now you understand that this is not achievable. 5 months and 50 million is not achievable, right? So what you will do now? Either change the plan or change the performance. Okay, change the performance. Okay, you will not be able to do that much change, so that you actually in 1 month you'll complete 200 features. Okay, so only 1 month is remaining, and you have always spent so much amount that you'll not be able to do with a lesser amount that the whole remaining work of 200 features. So what you'll do? You'll revise the plan. What you'll revise now? Say from 5 months you have revised to 10 months, and from 50 million you have revised to 100 million, something like this. Revision yourself? No. Who can do the approval of this? Somebody who had approved the baselines. Okay, the sponsor, the customer, at least them they are there, and the other stakeholders can also be involved. Second situation clear, Sunil?
Yes. Second situation, PMs.
Okay, so PM is actually behind the schedule, okay, and behind the extra or over budget. Now he wants to correct it. So that's called corrective action. That's called what? Corrective action, right? So he want to course correct and come back on the plan. So if you set the plan, if he's getting approved 10 months and 100 million, now he's able to achieve the plan, right? So that's why the corrective action is what he's raising. Second situation, okay? You understood,
Okay.
right? Okay. So
Yeah.
third situation is your sponsor asks, or the customer asks for, like, schedule was 12 months, okay, and now they are asking to reduce the schedule from 12 months to 9 months. So they're saying, okay, we wanted 3 months before because the market will not wait for us. If you don't deliver, if you don't launch this product into the market, then we lose the market share. Okay, somebody else is like Google is coming up with some newer products, and time to market has to be faster. So please finish whatever you can. Give a workable software in the market, okay, by 9 months. Yeah, by 9 months. Yeah. So what we are saying here is there are three change requests. Okay, we are talking about change requests. So first change request is customer adding more features. That means original scope is 500, and now the change after baselining, whenever there's a major change, that means it's not a very small thing. It's not like something a 1% or 2%. This is a more than 10% change. So it is beyond the threshold. First situation, as you said, customer adding more than what is the threshold. Now you have to take it to the change management process. Okay, and say for example, if you are off track, that means you are targeted 500 features in 5 months in $50 million. Okay, but in third month, fourth month, you see that okay, you have not even done you've done just 50%. So you're only remaining 1 month, you're not able to complete the project within the given baseline. So what you have to request, to course correct or to take as a corrective action, you raise a change request revising the plan to 5 months to 10 months and 50 million to 100 million. That's the second situation. Even this is a change request, and all the change requests will only go through the same steps. Okay, religiously you have to follow the steps. Third situation is the customer has asked you to deliver early. Earlier it was 12 months, now it is 9 months, right? Now it is 9 months. So again, this is a change request, correct? So now first step of any change management, okay, is what? Clearly identifying there's a change. So are you in all the three steps, are we clear there's a change? Yes, we are clear. Okay, it should not be gray area. Okay, it should not be gray area. Now customer agrees, yeah, 100 features new. Okay, it should not happen that okay, he is saying it's an issue, that means it was part of the original scope, and you are saying it's an enhancement. So that friction is always there, but it should be very clearly identified that 100 features are new, right? Here also, now you are clearly raising that request. Okay, that means that original plan is not achievable now because of the productivity, and through the EVM and all, you have revised the plan to 100 months, 100 million, and 10 months is the schedule you are asking for. That's again revision. So this is called as corrective action. So we call it as the corrective action, or you can call sometimes what happens is maybe we feel today we are okay, but tomorrow we may go off track. That's why we take a preventive action. Okay, so we revise the schedule because, or revise the performance because we want to be on track after 2 months, 3 months also. So preventive action is a little different there. When you say preventive action, today we are okay, but still we want to revise the plan in order to handle any changes which will come later. Yeah, so that's called preventive action. Third, as I said, now customer has asked you to prepone the delivery. Okay, and now you have raised a change request. So whatever the protocol is, like you putting it in. So this, remember, whenever this change request is clearly identified, means it has to be documented. It cannot be verbal. Any question which is saying okay, he has shaken the hand, he is 50 years old, a vendor of yours is 50 years old, customer of yours. Okay, whatever it is, okay, you cannot take any change on verbal. Okay, some customer calls you and says okay, Mr. Sivan, just take this request, I will put a change request afterwards. Okay, and let you please start the process. So either you have to do on his behalf, but the protocol has to be followed. Okay, if he doesn't have the time to, and he doesn't have the access to the tool, and he doesn't have, but you have to, on his behalf, you have to write the document that okay, now this is a change request, and it is clearly this is the change, original was this, new is this, and that's the change request. Correct? Are all clear on the first step? First step is document the change and clearly identify what is the change. So what is the change here? Change of schedule baseline from 12 months to 9 months. Okay, change of scope baseline from 500 features to 500 plus 100 600 features. Change of schedule and cost baseline from 5 to 10 months and 50 million to 100 million. So this is the change request clearly identified now. That's the first one step. What's the second step now? How to take this change is the second step. Any change management again will go through the same management, same steps. What is the second step now? How to take this change? Now, for example, now this 100 features additional. Okay, how many options you have? You may have multiple options to take this. Okay, one option can be outsource it. Okay, so I find a vendor who can do this and integrate with you. Okay, and that's the first one. Okay, then second one is what? Do it internally, as I said. Okay, third one is what? Even internal, your team. This is internal, your team. Okay, your team. So your team. And other option can be again internal, but some peer team, which is sitting idle. Internal, but peer team. Okay, so I'm just saying there can be lot of options. Okay, lot of options. Okay, so these are the options, and every option will have their consequences. For example, if you outsource, what? Scheduling may be faster, so faster delivery can happen because this person, the vendor, is actually expert in doing this kind of thing. Okay, and it may be costlier. Now if you do it internally, maybe it's a little cheaper. Okay, but it cannot be done so much faster. That's also there. And the third thing is,
Tanvir, I just have to join a call from office.
No
So
problem.
please continue. I'll join back again.
No problem. Okay. Okay. So when we say it's internal peer team, maybe again the consequence is a little different. Maybe it's a cheaper, but it will take more time. Something like that, right? So any step you take or any option you take, it will have its own consequences. Now, which step is better? Which option is better? That you have to, from your side, you give it as input to the CCB, and CCB will approve it. Okay. So what is the second step? How to take it is the second step. So second step, how to take it is the second step. So here also, what is the second step now? Now what is to be revision? Okay, so this was the first CR you raised. Second is what? Second step would be Now, what are the options? How you will take and what is the revision? Okay, so you will give options like, okay, one of the options you gave is from 5 to 10 months. Okay, this is the revision you want. Okay, or you can give a revision. Okay, 5 to I will take 8 months, but I a little lesser on cost. Okay, I mean a little lesser on scope. So you want to in the 8 months you want to give the most important features. That also can be an option, right? And the third option is, okay, from 5 to so, 12 months. Okay, if I'm able to take the whole scope, then I will go for the third option. So what are the options to take this change? What are the options to course correct? What are the options to a corrective action or a preventive action, right? So this is the second step. So, okay, so what will be the second step here? 12 months to 9 months. How do you take this? How do you prepone the deliveries? So again, as I said, we have multiple options. Okay, cut down on scope, cut down on maybe additional resources, additional cost. Okay, or cut down on quality. Okay, whatever. So you have a lot of options to do this, right? Are you able to get it now? Second step. So second step, how do you take the change? Is the second step. How do you take the change? Right. So that's the second step. So done. Now you go to the change control board too. And okay, now second step what actually was how to take it, and third step is what is the corresponding impacts. Okay, so we did both together, but second is how to take it, that options, and third is getting the impact. So we did this together actually. So okay, so if you take this option of additional cutting on scope, cutting on quality, that was the second step. Third thing is if you cut down scope, what is the impact? So scope reduced by this much, okay, but schedule increased by this much, or schedule saved by this much. So every option you take, there is some corresponding consequence to that. Okay, and there's some regression impact. So that means there is some impact on the baselines or other knowledge areas. So that is the third thing you'll want to do. Every option, or find out the options. Generally, options will be a set of options. Okay, not a single option. A set of options, then find the impact, and then what you do? Now you raise it to the CCB. Who is change control board? The change control board is the board who will decide on this changes. Okay, whether to take it, or they can either approve it, reject it. They can do like other options also are there, like they can partly approve it, partly reject it, or they can defer it. Okay, or so all the options are there. If they approve it, what happens now? If they approve this one, okay, so now what you have done is, okay, you have said that if I outsource it, okay, I will need only 2 months extra, okay, but I need 4 million extra here. So now if they are approving this this change, what will happen now? The scope baseline will get added with 500 plus 100 600 features. Okay, the cost baseline will additional by 2 million, by 4 million, and by the schedule will get added by 2 months. Able to get it? Yeah, so that's the options you presented, and the change control board, which is minimum, who will be part of the change control board? Minimum it will be a sponsor of the customer, because the scope and schedule and cost are very important attributes. Okay, very important dimensions of the project. Nobody else can take a decision on that. Okay, they have to be part of the CCB. Others may join it. Maybe it's a technical input they require. Maybe project management input they require. They will call you. Okay, so that's a meeting they take. Okay, and they have the tools to understand what is the change and how the change is impacting. Right. So they decide on which option to take out of the options you presented to them. They decide. Now, whatever options they decide, that option is the complete option you have added. So, for example, they will say that, okay, outsource it, add the 100 features to the baseline, scope baseline, add this cost to the cost baseline, add this schedule to the baseline, because you have presented that when you outsource, this is the impacts you'll have, right? So you have presented all these things, correct? Now they approve this. When they approve means what? Your revision to cost, scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline happen. That means what? Indirectly, your PMPs got updated. That means you have a new target. Earlier you were targeting 500 features, 5 months, $50 million. Now you'll target 600 features, right? And 5 months plus 2 months schedule, 7 months schedule, and 50 months plus 4 million, again 54 million, something like this. Yeah, did you get it? So what are the steps we have? So find the change, find out the options, find out the impact, and then present to the CCB. CCB will approve it. Now if I take this situation again, what will happen now? So again 500 to I know I cannot reach this target, I cannot achieve the target, so I have revised it. Again, I have again put so many options there. Okay, so maybe they decide on this first option. So what will happen now? The schedule revision will be there. So schedule is now, the new target is 10 million. Okay? 10 months. Okay, 10 months. So now CCB approves, PMP got updated, and now you will start working with the newer target. Third option is again schedule change. You have raised it, clearly identify the CR, find out what are the options, and the third step is you find out what are the impacts, right? And now you present it to CCB. CCB will approve it, and then PMP will get updated. Generally, it's a change of revision of plans, and then you'll work against that new plan now.
The second change is schedule
Customer,
and cost.
yeah, schedule and cost. But the project manager is trying to that EVM thing was there yesterday. He could not achieve. It is not achievable now. So 10 days he find out that okay. So let's take that example. 10 days, only 10 features, but $15 spent. Now that $100 is not achievable, right? Not achievable $100. So what he did? So he has now revised it to from $100 to $150. That is also a change, correct? That EVM was actually a change only, right? That EVM has to go to the next step is now first of all you identified 150 is the new estimate you have of cost, correct? Yesterday we saw that, yeah, 150, na? So 150 original was 100, now it's new 150, correct?
Yeah, that was the first option. No, we did not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Okay. So that's available. That you feel as a standard process performance. Your team works like it. And you say, okay, 150 is what I want, and say the customer now the sponsor and customer they want to approve it. So what is the change process now? First is you've identified is a change or that it's not achievable. That's the first step. Okay. Identifying the change means what? Here in say this is not achievable is a change. That means you want to revise the cost baseline is the first change. Second is what you find the options, and that options were okay. For example, in yesterday's discussion we had 3-4 options. One is standard productivity 150, non-standard productivity 105. Okay, you understood that, right? So third option was if it's a flawed estimate, you re-estimate the remaining work. Okay, all these things. So out of that option, so that was the second thing. Okay, so multiple options. Out of those options, okay, we took the option of this standard performance, and that's why the impact is 150. 50 additional we want, correct? Now you raise it to CCB and CCB approves it. And then what is the new target now? New target is 150. That means you have to finish the project in $150. Fine. That's the standard steps. Okay. So whenever the change management happens, okay. Now let me ask you a few questions, okay, on this. Now you were promised some resources, some skill set. For example, as I give my example, we have raised a request for 3 years experience people, right? Now and then you have planned everything based on the assumption that you will get 3 years people, okay? Yeah, baseline also. Now and they actually see that the resources which the management has provided, or the management now tells you that okay, we don't have 3 years plus experience, we have 0 years experience people now. Lesser experience what you expected. You expected 3 years, but now we are having only 0 years experience. That means freshers we have. Now what you'll do in this case? Again, is this a change request? So again, step from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Is there a change? Is it a change? Yes or no? Is it a change?
yes.
After baselining, yes. Okay, your baseline assumption the management says yes we will provide. So you have already scheduled it, but now they say when you actually get the get the resources, it's 0 years. Okay, so change, yes, change request. So it is a change. Okay, so identify this as a change. So what's the second step? What was the second step? Second step is how do you take this change now? Okay, so for example, now you have got people and the management says, okay, you have to work with these people. Now remember all the options that in the real life also, in the exam also, you can never say, oh, no, I cannot work. Okay, I will leave the company, I will leave the project. Okay, maybe realistically sometimes people do it, but you cannot ask do this in a professional environment like this in a PMP exam or in the real life also. So sometimes it is the again it's a business and management also is trying to give you, but they may have this only resources not today. So we have to take it very statistically. We cannot take anything personally. Okay, so what you will do now? Okay, you will give me 0 years. Okay, 0 years experience. So yeah, first I gave you 12 months plan. I will give you now what 24 or 36 months plan. My schedule will increase because now the screen was done by 1 day by the 3 years person. Now he'll take three days. So obviously it will be double or triple, right? So corresponding impact to the schedule, corresponding impact to the cost will be there. Correct. So what you'll do now? You will find out. You'll find out the options to accommodate this change. Correct. Again the same. Can you understand all the structure is same? Correct. Second is find the options how to take this change. What is the third option now? So whatever options you've taken, what is the corresponding impact? So one option is okay, you're saying you're revising the schedule. Second option is what? You are putting them into training, and training is a cost. Okay, and then after the training, you are expecting that okay, productivity can increase. That's also one of the option. What is the third option? Maybe you will say, okay, give me 0 years, but additionally give me some more resources who are at least 5 years experience, so that they can train these people. So that's also one option. So again, options you have to present it to CCB. Okay, I have faced all this. That's why I'm able to tell you. So one time, all my people were freshers, and I used to sit like 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the night. And then in the morning, people used to ask me why your eyes are swollen. Okay, then I used to say, okay, 0 years people are there. I have to sit with them. Then my manager understood that okay, he's struggling, so that's why he gave me some more experienced people. So again, that's what change request. Okay, are you able to follow? We have multiple options to take this change. Okay, so whatever options you have getting corresponding consequence will be there. Okay, so if I say a 0 years experience, okay, but my schedule will change from 12 to 24 months. Correct. Now third option is you go to with the options and the consequences. Okay, you go to the CCB. Okay, and then fourth is now they decide. Sorry, options and then the corresponding impacts as the third option. Fourth option is CCB decides, and fifth is what, change the plan, new plan. So you set a target now. You set a clear target. This is what I will going to do. Okay, you will say go with 0 years experience, but now the new target is 24 months. It's fine. So go with that plan and execute the plan and see what we can do about it. How can we achieve that? Okay, that means the plan is there and PMP is got updated. Any question, okay, actually you have to follow these 5 steps only. So one of the options can be follow the change management process. One of the options can be shout back, okay, saying that okay, I cannot work with 0 years experience. But that's not you have to do in the professional life also. You can generally, even an organization doesn't have that chance. Okay, they're not trying to make your life miserable. Okay, that's not their aim. Their aim is to run the business, but with whatever resources they have, okay, whatever capabilities they have to do the projects, right? So you have to understand that way. Okay, sometimes we will negotiate, that's fine, but you have to negotiate in this way. Okay, saying that these are the 3 options. Okay, so I have done it. Okay, and there was a CEO in that meeting, there's all the vice president in the meeting. Okay, so we said, okay, if you give us only you have this option, then our schedule will revise. Okay, so now let's revise and let's come back and then see if that is okay for you. Then we also requested one option is give me some more senior people so that we'll get training for that people. Okay, and that was another option. Fine. So if I see it now, any questions on this diagram? So I will again tell it in the different, in different wordings, but the same steps. Any questions till now? Or okay? Manoj, you're in office. Can you speak up? Okay, no problem. So what I'm trying to tell you is now we'll see this the same thing. Okay, in a different kind of from the slides we'll understand this. Okay, so let's go to the change management again, and we'll have a lot of questions on this because it is very important to understand this. Remember, it's not only that one process in our whole 49 process is not only one process, but it is actually the series of things you have to do. Okay, and this plan is set in what, PMP. This plan is set in project management plan. Okay, yeah. So this is what we discussed, correct? So if I see it again, so what is the first step? Again, whenever the change management happens in any process, so this where can the change happen? In executing processes, in monitoring controlling processes, maybe in planning processes also. Say plan procurement also can have a output of change request. So change you cannot say this only schedule change is a change. Okay, change can be anything. Person resigns, okay, you have not planned for it. Okay, then what is that? You have to raise a change request. Now person is resign. All the people have gone on unplanned leave. Okay, bigger impact to the project. Okay, change request. Okay, the vendor has delayed the delivery. So what, change request? Okay, so number one, what is again number one? Receive a request or determine that a change has occurred or necessary. That means clearly identify the change has occurred. Everybody should agree that the change has occurred. Okay. Yeah. Second is what, evaluate the impact of the change. So how do you take it? Third is what, identifying the alternatives. That are the options, right? Fourth is what, every option, what are the impact to cost and resources. Fifth is what, propose it to CCB. Clear? This is what we discussed. Are we on track? Are we online or aligned to what we discussed? Yeah, so you have to remember these 5 steps religiously. If the question tells you, okay, now there was a, so the actually sponsor was a developer actually has come and reported to you that he has made a new feature which he overheard sponsor telling in the hallway. A developer comes and informs you that actually he has created a feature which was actually spoken about by the sponsor, and he just overheard it in the hallway, right? Now this feature he has developed by sitting extra time. He has not used your schedule. Okay, time sheet is putting up 9 hours only, but actually he has worked late night. Okay, because it was his passion, and he's created that feature. Okay, now what would you do with that feature? First step or first option is, it's a good feature. Sponsor also wanted it. Okay, deploy it in production. This is the first step. First option you have. Second option, so deploy it in production is the first option. Yeah. Let me take it in the notepad. This is a good question to have. Okay, I think so. This there in people have come got this kind of question. in the exam. Yeah. So let me put that, okay, in short. The question is saying that developer develops feature which the sponsor aspired to have. Right? Sponsor wanted it, okay, he was just overheard, but was it written? No, it's a verbal thing. Okay? Verbally he has heard. Okay. And now what is as a PM, what should you do is a question. What should you do? Yeah. So quickly tell me now. First option is okay, productionize it. Productionize it. That means put it on production. Yeah. Put it on production. Yeah. Second option is revert the change, because ask the developer to delete the feature. Okay, maybe delete the feature. Third step is talk to sponsor. What should you do? And fourth is document the change request. What is the option? Will you select? Which option you select? Yeah, correct. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. So 1 is not there, right? So step number 1 is not there. Manoj, are you able to follow? You just type in the chat box if possible. So again, whenever the question is telling like this, just see the steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, is it done? No. Do the first step. If the question is saying that the change request is documented, what is the second step? So this is documented the change request. Okay, this is what is the second step now? One of the options will be find the impacts or find the options to cater to this. So this is the answer. Okay, if this is also given, then find the corresponding impacts. Find the impact to scope, schedule, cost. That is the third step. Okay, fourth step, raise it to CCB. And again, this is also given in the question. Then see whether CCB have approved. So CCB have approved, it means what? Now what is the last step? Is update the PMP. Yeah. Sunil, are you able to understand, right? Good. Okay, and Manoj, are you able to follow this? Can you just type in the chat box, yes or no? Okay. So yeah, fine. Yeah. So understood this. Let's take a lot of questions on this. Okay, so to understand it. Okay. Now, as I said, first of all, let me again put some more details on the steps. First of all, determine change. Is it necessary? Okay. Is it necessary? The change, is it necessary, or is it clearly documented? That's the first step. Second is what? Evaluate the impact of the change. That's the second step. Okay. Second step, evaluate the impact of the change. Yeah. And the team needs to understand. So internally and externally, find it out. Okay. Impact on time, cost, quality. Okay. Risk, resources, requirements, so on. So find the impact on all the things. Okay. Third step, come up with the alternatives. Okay. Come up with the alternatives for each the way you have. What are the options to take this change? Okay. Alternatives. Okay. Alternatives will be accommodate increase in scope, necessary to extend time, add resources, increase budget. So crashing, fast tracking. Okay. Adding more resources as we discussed, or cut down on scope, cut down on quality, whatever. So there may be so many options. Okay. What is the best suitable options? That you will go maybe minimum 3. Yeah. And then fourth is what, discuss internally and externally, find out what are the impacts. Okay, how do you absorb the change within the project reserves without opting the bill to the customer? Okay, so again, can we manage it within the this or not? We'll understand it. If it is beyond the PM control, obviously it will go as CR. So if all the options which are identified, okay, is below the is you can manage it under the budget, under the baselines given the customer, obviously you'll go with this change. Obviously you will not raise the change request. Okay, here you understood, okay, no, it is much more than that, and it's beyond PM control or beyond the threshold, then obviously you'll go for it. Yeah, you'll go for a CR process, correct? And what's next now? So again, I put it in my words again, the same steps. So first of all, never take a verbal change, correct? Never take a verbal. First step is what? Ask for documented change control, not verbal, correct? Second is evaluate the assess the changes. This is they determine how the changes are going to have an impact, correct? Third is discuss with team members how best to handle the changes, correct? fast track, crash. What is that we want to do? Find out now the under PM control or outside PM control. If it's under PM control, okay, like a small half day leave or people going 2 days early, that will not impact the baseline. That's even that is a change. Okay, that the feature was not completed 100%, but the feature is going to complete later. Yeah. Okay. So outside PM control, then you'll go for the change management process. Outside PM control will be going for the change management process. Correct. And if the customer wants to change to be wants change to be implemented, discuss with management, okay, and stakeholders. That is raised to CCB. If the CCB approves it, okay, or then you have to take what is the thing, how are the approval, okay, and then revise the plan. Okay. Now, if it is rejected, what should you do? If the change is requested by a stakeholder and it's now rejected by CCB for some genuine reason. Now, what your role in this situation is, you have to go back to the stakeholder and explain him politely. First of all, take the rationale from the CCB why they have rejected it, and then go back to the CCB and go back to the stakeholder and tell them this is why politely that this is why your request has been rejected. Okay, that's how. Now, change is either corrective action, preventive action, or defect repair. We understand. Corrective action is what? Coming back on track. So now you're off track, you're deviated from track, coming back on track. What is preventive action? Today you're okay, but tomorrow you may go off track. That's why you are preventively, proactively taking some action. That is, you're revising today itself. Defect repair, again, the defect which is a major change is also taken as a defect repair. Okay. Now we also know that now if you say the who was the original approver. Say for example charter, who is the original approver? Sponsor, generally sponsor, right? So who will accept, who will approve the change to the charter? Sponsor, correct? So whoever has done the first original approval, generally he will be also the part of CCB when they approve the revision, correct? Yeah. So change in project direction impacting cost, schedule, cost, and management. Okay, again, your sponsor is this part of management. You can say minor changes, project manager with some small project document update. Yeah, good. So now let us try to find. So can you take this question? Sunil, are you able to see the PPT? Are you able to see this business problem or situation? Just go through this and try to find out what should be your approach in this case. So let's take a business problem and understand.
Okay, Tanvir, before that, I just saw TAN the PDF. I think
Okay.
your PPT has more numbers because the number what you told yesterday, it is.
No. It may be a slight change, okay, because whenever I discuss something, maybe I've added. I'll just create a PDF out of it and send it to you. No problem. But don't worry, it's very slight. It's very small. Okay, it's very small change. You can just if you have PDF, just open it and you'll find this slide. I've not added maybe not more than 2-4 slides. Nothing. You can just open it. It will be there. Maybe the number is a little different because I sometimes I feel this has to be taken first. So maybe I've updated. We have just taken this page number up. I'll just create this PDF and send it to you again today.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Okay. So let's take this business problem. Just try to see what is the problem, and I'll give you 2-3 minutes. I'll give you 3 minutes, and then try to see what's the solution you will come up with. Can you read this? Starting from, you are a project manager of a new corporate initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just go through it. Yeah, did you go through the questions, Sunil?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, the crux of the question is only 2-3 lines. Okay, and then could you see that the question is the last 2 lines? That's the
Yeah,
main
I
thing,
mean,
right?
there's a change in timelines and we need to deal with it.
Exactly. So again, what will you follow? Step number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I mean, we know that there is a change, so we will raise a change, then we analyze the change, right?
Exactly. Exactly. You're doing the right track. Huh?
Analyze,
So now tell me.
then
Yeah. So now tell me first of all, is it a change? Is it
100% yes.
clearly? It's a clearly
Yeah,
change, right? Very good. Yeah, perfect. So change has happened. One step number 1 has happened, right? Now go for
yeah,
step number 2. What's the step number 2? Find out how will you take this change.
yeah,
How would you take this change, correct? So how
yes.
would you take this change? How do you, like, as a PM in a real time, what would you do if you want to understand, or if you want to find the options? You'll discuss with the team maybe, right?
Yeah.
You'll discuss with the team, you'll discuss maybe some consultants, some stakeholders. How do you take
Or,
handle this change?
or with your previous experience.
Exactly. Did you have this kind of a situation earlier? And how would you take this in? So maybe multiple options can come up. Okay, like cut down on the low priority features, or now they are also saying that the budget will not increase, so they cannot have the option of uh, adding more resources. Okay, when they have to cut down on maybe scope or quality or something like that. Uh, Try to fast track things, okay, and try to see what's the critical path, right? So what will third step now? Going with the options and corresponding impact to CCB. CCB will approve it and then take the new plan. That's it. So after, again, the steps are very standard. Any type of change will be going through the same process. Yeah. So now, uh, can you read the third answer, and is it making sense? So now, first of all, okay, one thing is mentioned: is change management plan is what is now. How do you take up any change is also mentioned in PMP. That is mentioned in the in your project management plan, in the project management plan. Correct. So what is that, like, plus or minus 10%? I give you an example. What is that plus or minus 10%? When do you call it as a small change or big change? Yeah, and it's also saying about triple constraints. So scope, schedule, cost. Obviously, as I said, why did you talk about scope now? Because cost is already fixed. Yeah. So quality, as I said, quality metrics,
Yeah,
quality
Tanvir,
reassessment
I'm back.
resource. Yeah. You're welcome, Stephen. So Stephen, just try to see this question. So basically, the question, I'll tell you the crux of the questions, and then you kind of focus on the answer. So now there was a meeting, and then you're very happy that you are ahead of schedule and everything. Okay, but surprisingly, sponsor has asked you to cut down your schedule from by 3 months, but the budget remains same. The sponsor asks you to submit a plan of action, and how would you accomplish this new deadline? What you should do is the question, right? Now we understand that we always follow this 5 steps. What are the 5 steps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First of all, clearly identify what is the is there a change. We identify, is there a change, right? So is there a change? Yes. So because sponsor itself is telling it again, he has told you formally. That means yes, it's a change, right? And second, what would be the second thing? Second thing would be how would you go take this change, right? Second step would be how would you take this change. So now that's what the answer is saying. Okay, so first of all, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is written in a project management plan. That's called the change management plan, which we are discussing from the day one, right? So that's the change management plan. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generally it's standard in all, like most of the projects. So what is that you call small change, or what is that you call big change, is there in the change management plan, correct? Now your team should first look at the remaining work to be completed to assess what it would take to complete that. Correct, right? As we did it in EVM, what is the remaining work? What is the remaining budget, and what is the remaining schedule? We consider all these things. Okay, that the triple constraint, scope, schedule, cost, and now we also see what's the quality expectations and what are the available resources. Then the team will brainstorm and analyze how to adjust the calendar accordingly and will meet the budgetary constraint. Okay, one of the options can be working extra. Okay, working Saturdays. Okay, that can be an option. Yeah, after approaching the problem under the triple constraint and change management process, you will be able to create a new visible, viable plan of action, so that you'll be meeting the both the deadline or not compromise the integrity of the deliverable. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, whenever I'm saying that cut on quality, but yeah, quality should be at least fitness for use. Whatever you're delivering should be fit for use. That is again, and that again goes without saying. Okay, so that also is to be maintained. But yes, so say for example, as I said, quality expectation was 1,000 concurrent people having access to the system. Maybe in the first 3 months, 200-300 people will access the system. Okay, that is again fine. Okay, that much you can relax. But it shouldn't happen that you have given something which is absolutely not usable. Okay, that is not expected as a project manager deliver, right? So using the ripple constraint and change control process is a great framework for assessing change and making decisions around the change. Yeah, are you able to get it, Stephen? So did you understand that
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps?
Yeah, but
So we have been
Tanvi,
discussing on, yeah.
just wanted to understand, like, do we have such questions during the exam?
Yeah, so this is a little longer than what is, but the change management questions you can expect a lot of questions. So
But
from a
Tanvir, are we supposed to
no
write
no no no
such
no 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 not this
answers,
way
or
exactly.
would they be multiple
Yeah,
choice?
always multiple choice, and this from some this lines. Okay, one of the multiple choice questions will be there. I gave you one
Okay,
example. Yeah, it's like this.
okay,
So just take this question. It will be like this. So this is one of the questions which one aspirant got it. So can you read the question? Can you understand the question? Just see. So I'll tell you the question. Okay. So some developer has developed a feature. Okay. Why did he develop? Because he heard the sponsor is aspiring to have this kind of feature, and he's heard it verbally. He heard it verbally. Okay. Then he felt, okay, it's very interesting feature. Let me work on it. He has worked late night and then he has finished the feature. Developer. Now the thing is, he's not impacted your schedule, either is impacted your budget, because he's working extra time to do this. He's not taking extra time for you. Okay. Now what you should do, what as a PM should you do, right? So if the question is saying, okay, so let me just cut this up. So these are the options you have. Okay, and one of the options here is this. So now let's just see the upper part, not this one. So see, now again, let me again tell you. So the developer has developed a feature which he overheard sponsor or customer talking about. Okay, and he has done it without disturbing your baselines. Now what you should do? What should you do? Deploy it on production, good feature. Okay, delete the feature, talk to the sponsor, or fourth is document the change request. What is that you'll do?
okay. The answer expected is document the change request, but I have one query. The sponsor only verbally mentioned that he would like to have this feature, and
Correct.
the developer has developed it, but it's not saying that it has been deployed.
Correct.
So why would I raise a change request? Like, I'm come from a technical background, a change
Yeah, yeah.
request would be raised if something is to be deployed in production, or it is actually becoming part of the project. But because the sponsor is yet to put it down on paper that he wishes such a feature, then it would make sense for me to document a change, regardless of whether my developer has developed it or not. Then
Correct.
I would actually go and adjust the PMP plan
Perfect.
and document a change. But
Perfect. So that's
here,
what.
yeah,
Yeah.
my
So
only
here
thought
exactly.
process is because developer has developed on his own time. Nothing has basically changed from my project. Neither is there an official request in my project for this feature to be added. So my immediate concern would be first talking to the sponsor to appraise him of the situation, whether he wants it or not. If he does tell me that, oh, I'll put an official request that yes, I want this XYZ feature, then I would document a change and update the project to accommodate this feature to be reflected in the plan. I'm just thinking from my thought process, but I wanted
Correct.
your opinion as well.
No, correct. So this is how the real things happen, and this is how you have to do it. Okay. Now, if I want to take it, see again, verbally you can do a lot of things. Okay. So verbally you may talk to the sponsor, but from a project management point of view, okay, so this project is not only between you and the sponsor. It is always all the stakeholders are there, and what happens is it is a chaos generally, right? So project, so many things are happening. So unless you do it in a structured way, unless in a documented way, it will be very difficult to control. Now again, so what you have to do now, okay, you have to, whenever there's a change. So what happens is, okay, there are like 500 features, or like actually there are 5,000 or 50,000 features generally, right? And what is getting added, who has made what, okay, it's very chaotic. Okay, and unless we document it and you just talk to the sponsor verbally, it actually creates a lot of confusion. You can talk to the sponsor, that's fine. Okay, but the sponsor might say, who told you to do this? Okay, we were just discussing maybe in the next project, something like that. So that's why the verbal changes are never accepted. Yeah. So so what happens is, if you do it in this way, okay, the chances are you may land up in trouble. Yeah, so always better is what, whenever there's some anybody who is asking the change, maybe it's a CEO also. The CEOs, when they call you up and then say, okay, we may request the change, so you have to follow a process. And CEO might not be able to enter into the Jira or something. Okay, then you have to do it. He has just put it on mail, but on his behalf you have to follow the protocol. Now, actually, what you have to do is, okay, now this is actually follow the change management plan in your PMP. This is actually the real perfect answer. But the PMP will always have, and the PMBOK also suggests that document the change request. Without doing this, you should not go ahead. Okay, now even so let's take your example. You talk to the sponsor. Okay, sponsor says, yeah, that's good. Okay, let's go ahead with it. Okay, let's go ahead and deploy it in production. So what will you do now? Now sponsor is again
Now,
verbally told you, or verbally told you,
now,
I'll tell you what are the options which can happen. Yeah.
yeah.
So sponsor has told you, he's okay, yeah, very good feature, yeah, we wanted that, okay, and we were thinking about it. Okay, so please go ahead and do it. Okay, now you put it into the production, right? And it fails in production because first of all there was no design document, there's no maybe there's no testing document, you don't it was not planned. Okay, it was not tested that much because there's no formal change, a formal request of the feature. Every feature has their own life cycle. That life cycle is actually maybe not followed as rigorously as other real correct features, right, which was part of scope. That can happen. Now it fails. Okay, and the sponsor, I'll tell you, and I have again faced this firsthand. If it fails in production, then he is the person who will tell you who has asked you to put in production. Without the process, who asked you to put in production? So this can happen. Okay, so you have to play it very safe. Okay, it's like a community service, as I'm saying. So whenever you do something, okay, even the sponsor is pushing you, customers is pushing you, and they'll always say it's a very small change. Okay, let us put it. Okay, but you have to now discipline it, and as you with the PMP now knowledge, you have to say, okay, sir, let me. If you cannot put it in a protocol, in the software, or in any, like in a mail, let me put you. So I generally, what in the minutes of meeting, we send the to sponsor saying that, okay, sir, you have asked for this. Okay, and this is the feature. Okay, now let us take this again to the change management process and let's finalize and then put it. So what you have to do first, again, document the change. That is a change. Okay, so if your company works on mail, okay, and that's okay. So I will document it in the mail only. So in our company also we used to work only on mail. So okay, I just copy it to like the sponsor or something, and then document the change. Second is what, now finding out what are the options. You always have to go with this. Or okay, now this is the one option which the developer has found out and you feel okay, so you go with only with one option in this case. Okay, but again you have to copy all the stakeholders. What may happen is that the sponsor might not able to understand all the functionalities, right? So say for example you put this feature, okay, and you also copy it to the security person. Security means the security expert of your technical architect, security expert, right? There's going to be some security people. Now they may raise a concern, oh, why have you put this feature? It's a very security threat for us, like email. Okay, just putting email, or somebody is putting this much. Okay, so for example you can copy paste in a screen. That's a feature. Now copy paste in a feature, all the security persons will tell you that that's not allowed. Try to put a copy paste an email ID or something and add, okay, something like is executable in a code. They will not allow you to do this. Now here, now the thing would happen is when you go to that CCB. Okay, now this CCB is what, all the technical people also, all the functional people also, relevant people. Now when you copy them, some might raise a concern here. Now if there is a concern, what you have to do, maybe you have to call the sponsor in the meeting and then try to try to get them on the same page, whether can we handle this concern, or should we go ahead or not. Okay, and as a team let them decide. Okay, you never decide. Okay, so you never decide this also, you're neither going ahead neither going back. Okay, leave it to the CCB. Okay, and whatever they say, then you go ahead, because I have got into so many problems with this and burned my hands. Okay, I tell you, even in practical life, this is very important. Then only go for it, because sponsor is not trying to kind of put you into trouble. Okay, that's not his aim. But innocently, whatever he knows, he will tell. But what happens is, in a fast-paced world, some decisions can go wrong. So it's better that somebody. What happens if this fails in production? Na? Now they will ask you, where is the document where you said that this change is going to happen? Where are the options you suggested? Where are the other things which you have mailed and taken approval from the CCB? Where is that? See, again, what they say is, if you are Steven, are you able to listen to me? Just type in the chat box. Steven, you able to listen to me? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So Sunil, just check at your end. Maybe there's some bandwidth issue. So now if you give it to the now if it is a normal, say, death. Okay, so this issue, production issue, if it is a normal death, just build and try to have an analogy like normal death, nobody will ask you anything. If it's a unnatural death. Like if it's unnatural death, everybody will post-mortem. What did he eat? Okay, like that. Okay. So I like our seniors to tell us, even you pushing your developers also should follow this process. Even you are getting pushed by a sponsor, you have to follow this process. And all the exam is actually trying to tell to see that how are you able to discipline the whole system. In the real life also, the main thing is, okay, everybody is trying to get good business, do things faster, and okay, and you sometimes miss the steps and you'll get into trouble. Okay, now how that in a chaos you are able to structure your work is what the exam is testing you, and what is that real project management, that only. Because you go on working as the customer says, okay, you will fall into trouble. Okay, you have to ensure that the steps are followed. Now you say, okay, is this practical, or can you do this? Okay, you have to do it, otherwise you will get killed. Okay, I'll tell you that bigger projects, Indian customers, I have faced so many projects. Okay, so you have to do it. That's what the whole exam is. Okay, let's see some more questions. But Steven, are you able to find this useful, or do you feel is it practical? Even if it's not practical, do it. I would say that I would even give you some case studies where how did we fall into problem, how did we bleed in the project. Okay, we bled in the project completely.
I'm not contesting the need for documenting the change. It is just I did not understand the scenario. That is why my query was
I
like,
understood. No
if there
problem.
is no
No, I want.
official request and if the developer has not officially deployed it in production, then why would I document this change to begin with? Because there is nothing to track this change as of now. The developer has just developed the change. There is no official request for that feature. Neither has it impacted my current project scope, timeline, anything. So it is outside the periphery of my project right now. So
That's
once
correct. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. So we are. So it's not even the step number 1 you are seeing. So you have step number 0. You don't even know it's a change request. That's fine. Correct.
yeah.
So yeah,
So
that is from that angle it is correct. So you are going in the right track. So as you said, if it's the first step, then we'll go forward. So this is the start of the change management process. Otherwise, it is not even started. So a
yeah.
lot of verbal things will happen. So in the meeting, you have to ask the sponsor that whether should we take it as this thing, and then we'll follow this process. Exactly. Got it.
Yeah.
Steven, you're on the right track. Yeah. And Steven, you should try for the exam in the next month. Okay. If you're not traveling, and you should try for the exam. So this is what we need. This understanding is enough for you to, like, and 30-40% questions will be on change management only.
To be
And
very honest, I'm flying on the 23rd. I just booked my
so,
tickets.
okay.
So
Like,
yeah, at the end of August, once I'm in Australia, I'm planning to book my exam, but I'll be planning it sometime in towards the end of October. I'm booking it, but I'll be preparing for it in Melbourne during the weekends.
sure. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is what our understanding is. You can see this process and this ITTOs and all. If you have that understanding, you will be able to easily understand that. Okay. So let me just put this. Actually, this is not very important from our discussion, but let's understand, if you talk this as a process, what is the process? So performance delivery change control is what? Processing. And this is one of the. So this actually what we talked about is actually included in one process called performance delivery change control. So this process, if I take you to this process map, it is this. So this one, this one. In the monitoring controlling, you have two main processes in integration. One is the monitoring control project work, which is the aggregation of all the control processes, and the other is perform integrated change control. This one, right? So this is where we actually raise all the change requests, and the change requests are processed through this process. But tell me, who is the only one process whose input is change request? There's only one process in the whole PMBOK, all 49 processes, where the input is change request. Okay. Other than that, all the processes, okay, almost all the processes in monitoring controlling, in most of the processes in executing, will raise a change request. But there's no process other than this process which has an input of change request. Which is this process? It's performance integrated change control. Okay. Now, what is performance integrated change control? Same thing, the number 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, that means get the change request, find the options, find the impact, raise it to CCP, and then go ahead. Yeah, and this is the only process where the output is approved change request. This only can give you approved change request. And can it only be approved? No, it can be rejected also. So if it is rejected, what will happen? Now remember, this changes, okay, will be handled through change log, as you rightly said. Okay, first of all, that when we say that changes has to be logged somewhere, okay, there's a change log here. Yeah. So as we have a issue log also. What is this? I think so you follow this, right? Change log and issue log. This basically again all the attributes of the change. Okay, who has raised it, when he has raised it, what is the change. So basic attributes. You can use a tool also like Bugzilla or Jira or Visible or whatever uh, to track this. So it should come here first of all, right? So now this is the tool which we use. Okay, like the change log is a tool. Issue log also the same way. So some sponsor might be saying, some stakeholder might be saying that okay, he's not being able to get the report. So that's an issue, right? Or there's some stakeholder concern. So we have logs like this to track this kind of changes. Correct? Yeah. So whenever we say PI performative change control, it's the only process, important process where change request is the input, approve change request is the output. Yeah. So now let's see the process once again. So now if I take the this process, now tell me one more thing from our understandings now. So now let's see how we are kind of integrating all the things which we discussed till now. Okay. So now tell me if this is a change request. Okay, and let us go back to that graph where start and end of the project. X axis, Y axis is the the quantifying of, so cost of change is here, right? Do you remember this? If I do a change request here, the same change request depends upon where are you in the stage of the project. For example, if just baseline, okay, now you come up with a major change request here at the start of the project, will the cost will be same? And if you do it towards the end of the project, will the cost will be same or different, more or less if different? So this is cost of changes. So I asked you a question that if I do this change at the start of the project, and if I do the same change at the end of the project, will it differ?
It
Will
will differ in terms of cost and maybe even resources,
yeah, yeah,
because
it's
at the
very
start of the change, I will adjust my cost knowingly, but at the end of the change, it might be a surprise which is not factored for and might cost more because
exactly.
resources are not accounted for all those changes.
Exactly, and the structure is ready now. For example, just see the 12th floor building. Okay, now you take when you are taking possession. Now ask the builder to make a small change. He will give you a very high cost because I have done it. I have taken a flat. Okay, I have taken actually 3 flats, and one of the flats I wanted to customize. Okay, a very small customization. He asked me lakhs of rupees. He said, okay, now if I want to change it, earlier if you would have told me, I would have done it in a smaller cost. Okay, but now if you change it, it is a huge cost for me because it's a structural change, right? So you have to break some things, okay, and then add new things, and then you have to think about if it's getting impacted, other things are getting impacted. Yeah. For example, a software also, now once it is in production, even a small attribute change, we do a lot of tests before so cost of changes will be very small at the start. Same cost of change, same change, do it here in the start of the project. It's very easy and very simple. Structurally test from a test angle, okay, from the planning point of view, right? So now it is almost ready here, and then you are being changed. It's very difficult. So what who will tell you what stage of the project you are? Work performance data, work performance information, work performance report. Work performance report will tell you what stage of the project you are. So that's why this becomes an input. Okay, you have to always logically think like this whenever you see ITTOs, okay, and don't not mug it. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to give you. So if I say now this is your PICC performance change control process, okay, we're reviewing all the change requests. What will be the input? Input is change request. Input is, so if this is the input. So this is the input is a change request, right? And inputs are the work performance report. So what is the change and what stage of the project you are in? And that's the inputs. EFOP will always become inputs, right? And now you use tools like change log, okay, and you use some um, uh, you use change log, you use some change control tools here it is, change control tools, okay, and some experts, okay, as I said, again CCV sponsor and customer are there, but they may require some inputs. Okay, they may call you from the project manager when there's revision of plans. They may call some technical people because to understand the technicalities. Okay, they have meetings. Yeah, and they use change control. What is change control tools again? Anything which is like they are able to understand what's the change and all. Okay, that tools. For example, again, as I said, Visible, Jira, we have used all the things. Okay, Bugzilla and even Primavera. For these softwares, you can use it, okay, as a change control tool. Now, what's the output you have? The outputs you have is approved change request. Okay, and you may can the change request can get rejected? Yes, they can get rejected, and then they are called as project documents update. So which documents can get updated? Change log can get updated, and if it is approved means what? Generally the plan changes, and plan is part of PMP. Plan is part of PMP. Yeah. So now, can you make this kind of sentences when you read the ITTOs? In my Excel, I've tried to do that. Okay. And in the Excel, if you see, I've tried to do that. Okay. So if you can make a sentence like this, okay. Now, when you do a change request, you actually receive the change request and review all the change requests, and then so basically it's approving and managing changes to the deliverables, OPAs, documents, and the PMP. Right? It belongs to the project monitoring and controlling process group. Yeah. So now this technical things and this IT tools, you have to make it in a very simpler way to understand. And if you understand, that's what we want to remember. That's easy to remember. Okay, so make sentences out of it and then understand it. Okay, so let me take you ahead and say some questions. So let's do some few questions here because very important. Again, I in my Excel it's something like this. Okay, so what is the inputs? Again, main inputs, change requests, okay, and work performance reports. And then what you do, call the experts again. Again, experts will depend upon the type of change request. Change request can be anything. Change request can be technical change, some quality expectation improvement, some resource reduction, some resource addition. My one time what happened, my vice president came. We were working days and nights for a very struggling project, and then suddenly he said, I have a senior resource for you. Would you like to take him? I immediately said no because I felt that he is trying to push some bad resource to my team. Yeah, all real things. Okay, I don't have any colleagues here, but they would endorse this. So what had happened is actually that senior resource was relieved of a project because he was not able to go on site, and that resource was so powerful. That means he was so skilled. Okay, later he pushed that VP told me, okay, you cannot manage him, I will manage him. Okay, let me assign him a little different things which I'm thinking about your project. So let him do it parallelly. So I said okay because I was under complete pressure with the customer. Yeah. So then later I found out that he was the best skill resource for my project. Okay. So I should have followed this change management process. I would have thought what is the change, who is the resource. I would have got how to take him inside my project. That would be the third step options. And what is my impact and how do I save? He saved me a lot of schedule time. So I didn't follow this. Okay. And abruptly I told him. The VP also was not very happy with my response. But yeah, so I was very powerful, so he could not do much. Okay, but I felt later that I would have taken this change would have in a very elegant way. Yeah. So what happens, you are in such a pressure that you feel that everybody is trying to push some bad resources in your project, and that's the mindset you have. Okay, and then you suddenly say no. Okay, so yeah, so what I'm trying to say is it can be anything. Okay, so that was also a change request, and I could have elegantly better handle it. Yeah. Okay, so what's the again inputs and outputs? Change request reports, expert judgment, change control tools, and then maybe you'll do a decision making. Again, decision making is important. Yes, that's what we are doing in change with the change control board and change control meetings. That's what you do. Basically, decision making. Okay? So on how do you decide? Again, you may have a group of people. Some people might be telling you A and B, so you vote. Maybe majority, plurality, all this. Okay, maybe you have different factors to decide it, and then you decide. So approve change request or reject it and PD updates. Fine. Got it? Again, so I'm putting into so many different ways to consolidate the understanding. Yeah. So now see if this is making sense. So so first is if the changes are requested, what happens? Changes are requested in the middle box. Changes are evaluated through integrated change control and approved. Change may lead to replanning. Correct. Whenever change request, generally it will impact something, scope, schedule, cost, that triangle, or some factor it will impact. Right. Now when it is impacting your baselines, replanning will happen. So what will happen then? Then as per the new target, as per the new baselines, new plans, you will now follow and complete the deliverables. That's the so complete deliverables in data managed project work. What is data managed project? Where you actually executing, right? The main integration knowledge area, data executing process group. This one. Yeah. So this is so if the change request happens here, if any change request generally, say for example, scope has got added, who will do it? So original scope was 500 features. We are getting it done in this process, correct? Yeah. Now if the 100 more features which have got added, who will do it? This process only will do it, correct? So now with this figure, you have to now think that and try to see that if the inputs are of this process are inputs are what? Approved change request also is an input, correct? Original 500 features are they are getting done in data managed project work, and the extra 100 features also are getting done in data managed project work, correct? Now say this 500 features you do it in data managed project work, create the deliverables, and where do you test it? You test in control quality, correct? Fine. Now extra 100 features, okay, which you actually do it here, where they will get tested? Again, same control quality. So control quality also has the input of approved change request. Can you just note it down? Can you check it as a homework today? Can you just check it? does the Diet and Manage project work has the input of approved change request? Yes, because 12 floors building, 13th floor is added. Who will do it? Diet and Manage project work. These people, this process only will do it. Correct. Create the deliverables. Will test it. These people only will test it. Control quality people, right? So that process will test it. So that's why the input of approved change request is here. Okay. So let me just ask one more questions. Which is the only process in all the 14 processes which has an input of change request? Input is CR. Only process is PICC, perform indirect change control, and which is the only process whose output is approved CR? PICC again. Yeah. And what are the inputs for perform indirect change control? Main inputs is your change request and work performance reports, because you want to understand what's the stage of the project. Correct. Very good. Perfect. Let's take some of the questions now. Okay. Yeah. With respect to changes and conflicts, okay, most important for project manager is, just remember, changes are not bad. Okay. Now if anybody, if the customer is adding one more floor to your building, okay, and he is paying you well, okay, as per your expectation, would you not like to take the change? Obviously yes. The problem would be if the customer is adding one floor or 100 more features and not paying you, or not taking into consideration the other factors like change of schedule, change of all the things, right? If it is agreeing, so control changes, control conflicts are actually good for the project. So conflicts are what? Healthy debates. Okay, a good healthy conflicts are good, but bad conflicts, uncontrolled conflicts are bad. So just remember, changes and conflicts are actually good if they are controlled. So what we can say is, uncontrolled change, uncontrolled conflicts are bad to the project. Okay, control change, control conflicts are good for the project. Yeah, just remember this. Okay, these are some thumb rules. Okay, whenever you do project, okay, you have to think that, okay, if the change, uh, if the conflicts are there, if the changes are they in a controlled fashion? Yes, it's good for the project. Yeah. Second, control changes, control is good, uncontrolled conflict changes are bad. Second, who performs integration? Manoj, if you are there, just type in the chat box, and Sunil and Steven, if you are there, just type in the chat, who performs integration? Sunil?
Who performs integration? So integration means here
Integration means integration knowledge area. Integration knowledge. Who is the main person who does this integration?
PM.
PM. Perfect. Just a revision. This is just a revision. Okay. Yeah. Third one. What is the change management process? Steps in the change management process. So what are the processes? First step, identify the change. Okay. Change logged, analyze the change under. So is it under PM's control or outside PM control? And then find out if the impact is inside the PM control. Then project document updates. If the project, it is outside the authority, that means it's outside the tolerance. Okay. Then find out what are the options and the corresponding impact. Raise it to CCB. Right. CCB approves. Do it. Okay. Just remember these steps. Okay. Now CRs can be corrective action, preventive action, or defect repair. Yeah. And yeah, so what's the change control system or change management process? Where is it defined, and what does it basically help? What is the change control system, change management process?
Change
Defined where?
control.
Yeah, change control system, change control process.
Processes.
Yeah,
Change
it's basically
management.
so change management. It's change management. Okay, so you can call it a change control also, but change management is the right word used in PMBOK. It is decided how to change, take the change in PMP. Now this is decided in the project management planning itself, right? And it tells you what are the steps to follow whenever there's a change. Correct? That's it. Right? It's a very simple. So change control, how to do the changes with your, and it's there in the project management plan. Correct? Yeah. So a change control system is a set of procedures that lets you make these changes in a controlled or organized way. When the team is repairing defects or deliverables, they still need to go through change control. So just remember, whenever we plan, we don't plan for defects also. We don't say, okay, let's keep out of 6 months, let's keep 1 month for defect repair. Okay, that I will make a release, then I will wait for the defects, I'll do the defects. So generally in PMP, we don't kind of take that into account. Practically we do it, okay, in real life we do it, but here we are expecting zero issues kind of. When the issues come, okay, and if they're impacting a lot of schedule baseline and cost baseline, resource baseline, then we will have a change request. Why these issues came, and we'll get approval. Okay, this is 100 issues. We will require another 15 days, okay, and 5 resources to solve these issues, and that has to be replanned, and then the plan should get revised. And now this is the target, that 100 issues are also there as part of the scope, and then you should complete with this extra resources which is approved by CCB. Making sense? Yeah. So decide a change and change control meetings. Okay. Who approves changes?
Change
Who approves
control board.
changes? Change control board. Perfect. Okay. Now change control board approve changes. That's a group of people, most often including stakeholders and sponsor, who look at the benefits of change and figure out if it's worth the cost. Right. So they look it from a business angle. They look it from a ROI angle, return on investment. Okay. If there's a CCB, your change control system will include a procedure that mentions it. Yeah. Okay. Now, what do you mean by configuration management system? Okay. Configuration management system is like how do you version manage it. Okay, so how do you get the latest design documents, or where will you find the latest version of the thing. Okay, in software we have that configuration, we have that repository management tools like SVN and Tortoise. Okay, so many tools are there which will help you to understand which is the latest version. For example, you are doing a dam, okay, dam construction, and now there's some change in the design. Now what is the configuration management system there? Now what they do is they take up all the designed printouts with all the they collect them, they burn them, and then they give you the new design documents, because then everybody has to use the new documents, design documents, correct? Same way we also have the configuration management system. So it's part of the PMIS, project management system. So basically a collection of formally document processes which are used to apply technical and administrative direction and surveillance. For example, identify and document the functional and physical characteristics of a product, component, service, control changes to such characteristics, and record and report each change and its implementation status. So configuration management is, for example, a requirement changes. Okay, you have to again manage that life cycle of that requirement, right? So it was original, what was it, and now what is it? So basically, it's part of your project management system. So just remember this. Okay. So let's take some quick questions now. Now, a software project is running late, so a software project manager looks to find slack time and reassign resources to get the things done more quickly. So, what is he doing now? Is it preventive action? Is it corrective action? Keyword running late. No, the keyword is he's running late. That means he has gone off track. So he is trying to come back on track. You have to read it like this. What is it? Corrective action. Could you get it, Sunil?
What is slack?
Slack is that buffer. So what he does is he's trying to see the buffer and where he can use the buffer time.
Okay.
Okay, so basically he's running late and he's trying to see if he can use the buffer. Okay, so what he's doing is trying to course correct. Okay, he's trying to take a corrective action, right? So the first answer is corrective action. Second, the caterer notices that the crudites are all gone and assigns the chef to make more. That means you can just think is that food is finished. Okay, and now you have to make some more.
Preventive.
No, this is again he is exhausted all. Okay, and then he is now correcting back. Right, so he planned something, has made something, right?
Okay.
And then it's all like exhausted, right? So now you have to do something more to, so maybe it's corrective action, right? So it's all gone means I think so it's corrective action, because it's now gone off track. So how do you have to remember is it going off track now? If you have off track, okay, if you're deviating from the plan, now you have to course correct it. For example, you're going to from A to B, you're going, okay, and then in between you missed a road and you've taken a different path. To see Google Map and again reroute and come back. That's corrective action. You're correcting back. Now, if you're on track and further you feel that okay, the problem might arise. Okay, so let's see the third one. You'll understand. A photographer brings an extra camera body to a shoot. Okay, in case one breaks down. What is this?
Preventive.
This is preventive. Problem has not got it. Okay, problem has not occurred, but problem may occur in future. And what is that? Proactively I can do. So that's preventive action. Very good. A consulting company assigns extra resources to a project to compensate for possible attrition.
Preventive. Possible iteration is prediction.
Exactly. Yeah. Preventive. Perfect. Yeah. This is the answers. Correct. Preventive action. So you got it. So good. Okay. So now let's see some more questions. In the middle of the project, you are informed that the resources promised at the beginning of the project are no longer available. Okay. So in the middle of the project, okay, you are informed that the resources promised at the beginning of the project are no longer available. As a project manager, what would you do? Raise a concern, you cannot do this project, evaluate the impact of not having promised resources, move forward without the promised resources, identify other resources that can be provided to you, okay, in lieu of other earlier promised resources. What would you do?
D.
Again, just think about what you have to think now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is one there? One is there, correct? That means you are informed that resource promised at the beginning of the not no longer available. Change is there, correct? What is the second step? Evaluate the impact, right? Second step would be evaluate the impact. Okay, so if there are new resources given to you or whatever, you will not take a decision. That's what it's the thing says. Evaluate the impact, find out the options. How would you go about it? It may be a schedule revision or it may be some other revision. That newer resources also can be an option, but would you decide it? No. Third or fourth, after that, you will raise it to CCB. CCB approves it, and only then you can decide. So yeah. So second is evaluate the impact. Third option can, so after that second step, the third step can happen. Everybody get it? First you have to impact, you have to find the what is the change or what is that you have to do. This is the fourth third or fourth step after this. Okay, so what we'll do is first you will do the evaluate the impact of not having the promised resource. That's the perfect answer. Yeah. So okay, so say for example, you this this is another question which I have put it here. So here you are planning a trip for say some teachers. Okay, you are planning a trip. So you are a project manager of a project where a trip is planned for the teachers. Okay. Now in that case, so what happens in between the trip? You find out that teachers, one of the teachers is vegetarian. Now you need to change your plans to include vegetarian meals on the airlines and find restaurants that could accommodate it. Now what would be this process? Your plan for assuming that all people are non-vegetarian. Now you find a vegetarian person, and then you have to obviously go for the change control management. Yeah. Okay. So one more question. A customer is known for requesting numerous changes on the project. You have been assigned as the project manager for this new customer's new project. What would you do at the beginning of the project to manage this customer? First of all, check who is the customer manager and inform him about the customer's past record. Involve the customer as soon as possible. Be firm and say no to the customer a couple of times. Send the customer a copy of your complete change control procedure. So what we do at the beginning of the project to manage this customer? Just think from a collaborative angle. Also, just think about how would you have a good relationship, but also you want to have the change. Okay, would it be yeah? So yeah, so we know this again graph now. So this graph, so where stakeholder influence high at the start, low at the end. So you want to involve as stakeholders as soon as possible in the start of the project. Okay, and you have to take all the requirements. Okay, as soon as possible in the start of the project. So if you involve them, okay, right from the start, okay, they will come up with changes later that will be lesser. Okay, if you don't involve them, they will suddenly arise here. Okay, and they will come up with the requirements. So here B is the perfect answer. Involve the customer as soon as possible. Okay, in the I've just tried to trick you. Okay, I from change management I try again. So again, see in the project management, this is what you have to. So you have a lot of tools, but where to use what you have to keep thinking. Okay, it's the that's the knack you have. That's the skill you should have. Okay, fine, no problem. Okay, so just think about it, what is best. Okay, and then go for it. So next one. Okay, so B is the answer. Next question is you check with the teachers. Then again, it's the tourist package which you have designed for the people, and you check in with the teachers at each destination to make sure everything is going according to plan. Which is this process? If you take that project of tourism for a teachers group, you just call up and check. Okay, have you reached there? Have you reached there? Are we going as per the plan? Means what is the process you are doing? This question. Mountain controlling. Perfect. Yeah. So really agree. Mountain controlling is a process we are doing. Perfect. Yeah. Now the next question. So you are a project manager and and you are a project manager on a construction project. Electrician has started laying on the wiring. And when the client comes to you with a change request, okay, he needs additional outlets and you think that will increase the cost of electrical work, what's the first thing you will do? Refuse the change, refer to the PMP to see how it can be handled, consult the contract to see if there's a clause, make the change since the client is requested. Yeah, so basically see again, this is again C would be something you want to first see in the PMP what is the change management process in the organization in the project, right? And then you would decide to see if there's a clause. So PMP is again more refinement of the contract, correct, Manoj? Contract is there, yeah, exactly. Contract can have this change management process, but project management plan is something with all the considerations. Now you decided this is how the project should go, and change management process is one of the important things there. And so you'll refer to the change management process. Okay, that's the B is the perfect answer here. So you will follow the change management process, but you need to understand from the PMP that how is the change management process. Yeah. So B would be the perfect answer here. Yeah. Okay. So now seventh one. You are a project manager at a telecom company. You recently had stakeholders approach with changes. You figured out the changes would cost additional time and money. The stakeholders agreed. You are given additional time and budget, and the changes were approved. Now you have to incorporate the changes into the project. So what will you do after the approval? What we should do? So modify the charter. Use the PMIS to make sure work is performed. Make sure you track the changes against the project baseline, so you know how much they eventually cost. Incorporate the changes in the baselines, okay, so that you can track the project properly. So last one is incorporate the changes in the baseline. Your last step is incorporate in the changes in the baseline so that you can track the project properly. So what is the next step you'll do? Yeah, you'll revise the baselines. Okay, so now you want to find out which is the best. What is the revised baselines, right? Only then there's a new target, and you'll follow the target later. First is you want to revise the target. So you're okay with this? Seventh one, D is the perfect answer. Very good. So D is the perfect answer. Let's take one more. Managing a software project. When you find out that a programming team whom you are supposed to have access has been reassigned to another project, which is the first thing you will do? Figure out the impact. Figure out the impact. Bring a copy of your charter. Go to your sponsor. Figure out the way to compress the schedule. Figure out the impact. Perfect. That's the perfect answer, right? So we have to figure out the impact. This is not available to what is the impact. Very good. Let's take one more. So you're managing a project, graphic design project. Yeah. You're managing a project, graphic design project. One of your team members reports that there is a serious problem. Okay, and you realize that will cause a delay that could harm the business of the stakeholders. Okay. So let me reread. You're managing a graphic design project. So one of your team reports that there is a serious problem, and you realize it may cause a delay, right? And even worse, it will take another 2 days for you to fully assess the impact. Until then, you won't have the whole story. Now, what is the best way to handle the situation? Well, I'll again reiterate the question. So basically, there's some problem and you don't know about the problem now. It will take another 2 days to kind of understand what the problem is. So now, how would you go about it? How would you inform the stakeholders? So would you start creating a change request, okay, and submit it to the change control board, or pull out the charter and show them they have the authority to make decisions, or meet with the stakeholders and tell them that there's a problem and you need 2 more days to get the information they need, and update the lessons learned and add it to organizational processes. See, perfect. Yeah, that's the perfect answer, right? So you don't know the, so basically, see, remember, whenever you go to CCB, they will ask questions to you, okay, and if you don't know, obviously you will not be able to answer the question. So you have to find all the, first of all the ground level information, okay, then only you can go to CCB. Yeah, yeah. So only that information you'll get after 2 days. So tell them you'll need 2 more days. Yeah, let's take one more. You are a project manager, software project, several changes that need to be made. You need to decide how to apply resources in order to implement them. What do? So a lot of changes are there, and you need to decide how to apply resources in order to implement them. Okay, so what should you do? So decide the priority of changes. Okay, you should call a team meeting, invite the stakeholders so that everyone can reach a consensus of priority. Deny the change, consult the change prioritization plan for guiding on how to prioritize changes. So just read the question and try to answer this. You need to decide how to apply resources in order to implement them. B looks B. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, yeah. So the B is the perfect answer, I think. Oh, okay. Okay, so this is a little tricky. I'll come to this. Okay, maybe tomorrow. No, don't worry about it. 16th one. Last question we'll take for today. So you are a project manager on a construction project and you have just received a change request. You consulted the PMP and followed the procedures laid down in the change control system. You are in the process of reviewing the change and documenting the impact. Your manager asks, why are you doing this? Which process are you doing by reviewing the change and documenting its impact? Yeah, okay. This is performance change control, correct? Yeah. So let's come back to the previous question and let me just clarify this for you. So let me again read the question. You are a project manager on a software project. There are several changes that need to be made. Okay, so you have a list of changes. Okay, and now you need to decide how to apply resources in order to implement them. Yeah. So now actually what is it saying actually is the question is not about approving changes or prioritizing changes. The question is there are changes, okay, that need to be made. That means it's already approved. This question, the changes are already approved, okay, and now it is up to you, okay, who will decide now how to apply resources. That does you cannot go and ask your sponsor how to do apply deploy the resources. How do you he has given you what he can do or what CCB can do for you is they will approve the change request. They will prioritize also for you. Okay, now it's up to you how to apply the organization resources, the project resources in order to implement them, right? So it's your call. That means it's under your scope. So decide the priority of change and announce them to the team. Okay. So again, now this question is saying that several changes that need to be made. Okay. So there are changes to be made. Okay. Generally, the changes are approved and they are lying. Okay. And now, when you prioritize them, sometimes product owner or the sponsor approve tells you the priority, but also you also tell that when you can take it. As a project manager, okay, it's up your call also is there when you can take it. Okay, so that prioritization is dependent upon both the people. Okay, so now sometimes you may say, okay, I will not be able to take it. Okay, that means the planning part of it is to the project manager. The deciding whether it is to be taken or not taken is with the CCV. Manoj, hopefully I'm able to clear this question. So that is done, but depending upon the resource, the scheduling you have to do. Scheduling you have to do. Okay, so that's why it's saying the deciding the priorities change and announce them to the team. Okay, so announce them to the team is you're telling the resources, okay, you have to do this, you have to do this, so delegating the tasks. Correct? Yeah. So fine. Okay, so we have taken a lot of questions, and this is the most important part of the PMBOK. Okay, and it's a little tricky, and you have to be very alert. Okay, we did it very fast. Don't worry about that. So now, in the slides, just please go and think about the questions we did. Okay, so in the next 15 minutes, if possible, please see it. Okay, and then yeah, so let's call it a day today, and then tomorrow we'll meet again at 6:30. Is it okay? So we have done till performance and change control today, which is very important. We have done this. So from tomorrow we'll take it this processes now. Yeah, so this one. So the next process from here. So we'll start with quality. Three processes this. So I'll mark it as yellow. Okay, so at least this will do, and then maybe day after we'll see about how to do this one. Risks. So this is what the next chapter is. Okay. Yeah, see you tomorrow then. Thank you, and any more questions you can ask, we can have it today, today itself, now itself, but if you have no questions then we can call it. Yeah, thanks Manoj. Sunil, thank you. We'll meet again tomorrow inshallah. Yeah, see you then. Thank you. Thanks for joining the session and making it okay. Yeah, please see the recordings. I'll try to share it as soon as the processing is done. Thank you so much guys. Thank you.